You have committed to yourself before. You know exactly what that looks like. The decision made on a Sunday night with genuine intention. The first week that feels like momentum. The second week that feels like maintenance. The third week that feels like negotiation. The fourth week that doesn't happen. You have been through that cycle enough times that the word commitment has developed a shadow. Every time you make one now, something in the back of your mind is already tracking the countdown to the moment it dissolves. Not because you are weak, because you have never made it far enough to find out what is on the other side of where you always stop. Thor lost everything in a single film. The hammer, the throne, the brother, the certainty about who he was built on, every symbol he'd ever carried. And then, stripped of every prop that had defined him, he had to find out what remained when the costume was gone. What remained was enough. More than enough. But he could not have known that without going through the 90 days that the loss forced on him. Your 90 days is not forced. It is chosen, which makes it harder, and makes what's on the other side of it the only thing in your life worth being genuinely curious about right now. Full commitment is not doing everything perfectly. It is doing the one thing every day without negotiating whether today counts as an exception. The version of commitment most people practice is conditional. It runs on motivation when motivation is present, and on willpower when motivation is absent. And willpower, used as a primary fuel, depletes within days. What full commitment actually requires is the prior decision that the conditions of the day are irrelevant to whether the thing happens. Tired, busy, stressed, uninspired. None of those are exception clauses in a full commitment. They are just weather. The work happens in all weather, or it is not a commitment. It is a preference dressed as one. Thor's post-Ragnarok arc is the most honest depiction of full commitment in the MCU because it strips away every comfortable motivation. He wasn't training toward glory. There was no hammer waiting at the end. No throne to reclaim on a clear timeline. He was showing up to the work of becoming adequate to his own life, with nothing external pulling him forward. That is the only condition under which full commitment actually gets tested. When the motivation is gone, and the symbols are gone, and the result is not visible yet. What you do in that condition across 90 days is what determines every version of yourself that follows. Days 1 through 10 are fueled by decision energy. The commitment is new, the intention is sharp. The behavior follows without much friction because the novelty is still providing lift. Days 11 through 30 are where the real commitment begins. The novelty is gone, the lift is gone. You are now moving under your own weight with no external assistance. The days feel longer, the progress feels invisible. There is no obvious marker showing you how far you've come or how far you have left. Just the commitment and the day. And the question of whether those two things are enough to produce the behavior again. Stay with this. What happens between day 30 and day 60 is the part nobody talks about, because the people who've been through it find it difficult to describe, and the people who haven't never make it far enough to ask. Somewhere between day 30 and day 45, the internal conversation about whether to continue stops happening. Not because the days get easier, because the commitment stops being a daily decision and becomes a daily fact. You are not someone who is trying to do this. You are someone who does this, that identity shift. Invisible from the outside, unmistakable from the inside, is the first thing that happens when you fully commit to yourself for 90 days. Everything else that happens is downstream of it, and what is downstream of it is something no 30-day commitment ever reaches. Because 30 days ends before the shift completes. At 90 days, 3 things are simultaneously true that were not true on day 1. The external evidence has changed. The body, the skill, the capacity, the output, whatever the commitment was pointed at, has moved in a direction that is now visible to anyone paying attention. That is the part most people came for. It is the least important of the 3 things. The internal evidence has changed. You have 90 days of proof that you are someone who keeps commitments to himself, not the stated intention, the demonstrated behavior. That proof does not exist in memory as an idea. It exists in the body as a fact. And a man who carries that fact makes different decisions than a man who carries only intentions. Every subsequent commitment he considers is evaluated against a different standard. He knows what 90 days of full commitment produces because he has produced it. That knowledge changes the size of the commitments he is willing to make. And the relationship between who you are and who you are capable of being has been renegotiated. Not by anyone else, not by results, by the private, daily, unglamorous evidence of 90 days of choosing yourself over the version of yourself that wanted to stop. Thor didn't emerge from his worst year with better weapons. He emerged knowing that he was the weapon, that the symbols were never the source. 90 days of full commitment to yourself produces exactly that knowledge, earned, unborrowable, yours. You came into this expecting to be told what to do for 90 days. The workout, the schedule, the habits, the system. The system is not the commitment, the system is the vehicle. A man fully committed to himself will find a system and hold it. A man who found a great system but is not fully committed will abandon it by day 23, regardless of how good it is. The commitment is the variable, not the plan. Every plan you have ever had was adequate. The commitment behind it was what dissolved. Full commitment to yourself means deciding tonight that the next 90 days are non-negotiable. Not the specific actions, though those matter. The decision that you're going to find out what is on the other side of where you always stop. That decision, made cleanly and held without renegotiation, is the entire thing. The system serves it. The system does not replace it. Tonight, name the one area of your life where partial commitment has been producing partial results for longer than you want to admit. One area, the one you already know, the one you thought of before I finished that sentence. Write down one daily behavior in that area. Specific, unmistakable, takes between 20 and 60 minutes. Can be done regardless of how the day went. No exception clauses. Tired, busy, and uninspired are not exceptions. They are the conditions inside which the commitment proves itself. Then commit to it for 90 days. Not with enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is day one fuel, and it runs out. With clarity. The clarity that you are going to find out what is on the other side of day 30. What is on the other side of day 60. What is waiting at day 90 that every previous version of you turned around before reaching. Thor didn't know what remained when everything was stripped away. He found out by going through the stripping. You don't have to lose everything to find out what you are made of. You just have to stop stopping at day 23. You have never fully committed to yourself for 90 days straight. You do not yet know what that produces. That is the only thing about your future that is genuinely, completely unknown. And it is entirely within your control to find out. Day 1 is tonight. The commitment is the decision, not the behavior. Make the decision now. The behavior starts tomorrow morning. 90 days from tonight, you will know something about yourself that you cannot know any other way. One question. What is the one area and the one daily behavior that your 90 days is pointed at? Write it in the comments in one sentence, present tense, as if it is already happening. That sentence is the commitment. If this is the video that makes the decision real, subscribe. 90 days from now, you'll know if it was.